Welcome to Power Podcast with Queen Beauté, where mindset meets transformation. Each episode invites you to awaken your mind, expand your perspective, and rise into your power. Today, we're exploring how to seize the day. Yes, I've been gone a long time, for far too long. I won't get into the details just yet of why I've been gone for so long. Let's talk about what today's episode is about. Seizing the day. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? Seize the day. When I hear that expression, yeah, it feels a little bit cliche when people say it because it's supposed to be a call to action. It's supposed to be a way for you to get up and get out, do stuff. When I think about seize the day, though, when I say it to myself, I think about living my death speech. What does that mean? What do you think that means to live your death speech? Okay, we're not trying to get too morbid. Let me give a little bit of context for for what I'm thinking with this live your death speech. When Matrix 4 came out, of course, I wanted to see it. Love the Matrix movies. However, I wanted to rewatch 1, 2, and 3 as a refresher before getting to 4. I don't know how much time had gone by between 3 and 4, but I figured, you know what? Let me just rewatch the trilogy part. Then I'll be ready to handle wherever they start off in part 4. Well, there was a time when Trinity died or was dying, and she got out her last couple paragraphs. And it made me think that happens a lot in movies. Characters get a chance to give a little death speech, like they get to say something before they perish. They get to say some last quip or some last wish or request before it's lights out. Well, how often does that happen in real life where a person has a chance to give a little death speech? I don't think that happens very often. I think that many of us meet our end without that opportunity. Let's focus on the speech and the time constraint itself rather than we're passing on, what happens after that. Let's just focus on the speech part. Imagine you only had, I said we weren't going to talk about the death part. Here I am talking about, imagine you're dying. Stick with me. Okay, I tend to get all over the place, but I will get to the point. All right. So if I were to imagine, I'll put it on me. If I were to imagine I was in my last moments and I had a few moments to reflect or maybe say something, what is it that I would want to say? I'll get to the reason why this would be important in a bit. Okay, what would I want to say? What would I want to see, to know, to feel? To me, I would want to know that I did my best. For the amount of time that I was alive, I'd want to know that I did my best. I would not want to live in regret. Oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. I want to be, I did it all. I did it. I did the thing. I showed up. I showed out. Peace. That's what I would want. I would want to say, you know what? Here's my legacy. I was able to be inspirational, influential. I would want to have this kind of positive impact on as many people as possible. I would want to know that I made a difference, that I made a positive difference tangibly. Like there are people that could say, because of you, Queen, because of something you said, because of something you wrote, because of something you made, I'm better for it. I would want to know that I didn't just waste my time here. I didn't just waste the energy that was given to me. I would want to feel peace. I would want to feel, all right, I'm okay with going now because of how much I've already done. This is a it's, not a good time, but like this is an okay time for me to go. I can let go because I was able to do this, this, and this. I would also want to know that I'm loved, that people care for me, that I mean something to someone other than myself, that I matter to someone, that I matter to multiple someones, that they actually care about me. I'd want to know that. Let's see. I think I hit the main things. I would want a legacy that I can look back on and be proud of. I would want to know that I'm loved, that I matter. Those are the main things. So, knowing that's what I would want, like in an ideal situation, we'll get to how it's going to be, how we can make it to that ideal situation. Stick with me, get your notepads. Knowing that's what I'd want to look back on means I need to be building that legacy and those relationships now so that the future me can look back on this and say, oh, yes, I did do this. I'm not going to leave this realm with my message and my gifts and talents still in me. I've reached, I've done the best. I've reached for all the goals that I could. I shared my message, my gifts, my talents, and it's out there. Something about me will live on. If I know that, I'm saying it again. If I know that's what I would want to have accomplished by the time it's my end, that means I need to get to work now. Okay? That's really seizing the day. It's not just something your manager will say to you, hey, seize the day and get this and this done. It's like, boo, shut up. Get out of here with that. It's like so superficial. Earlier when I said that I thought it was cliche, I think of it as it's so superficial whenever I've heard other people say it because they don't have anything else behind it. I don't remember if I've mentioned this in a podcast yet, or maybe I've just written it down in my ideas, but anybody can say a brilliant message. That doesn't mean it was their own just because they repeat it or they say it or you happen to hear it from them first. That doesn't mean it was their idea. That's just the source that you got it from, was them. Too many times, I'm sure you have experienced this. You hear a great message from someone, but the messenger doesn't have any other context around it. They can't help develop the idea. All they could say is what the punchline is, but they don't have the whole idea. They don't have the whole story. They might have the lesson, but they can't really explain, they can't articulate the rest of the meat behind it. So whenever I've heard seize the day, it's just like, okay, well, how does one seize the day? To me, seizing the day means looking ahead at what you want to have accomplished by the end of your time here. And then taking the steps now to make it happen. Remember, we don't know when our time is up. We don't know that. And anybody who does, those of us who do, are probably keeping a lid on it. How they found out if they were able to get someone who, a fortune teller of some sort, or they had a premonition, maybe they're keeping it under wraps because it's not like it's widespread. Hey, everyone, download when your death date will be here for $49.95. Like, no, that's not a thing. That's not real. Anybody that's selling that to you lies. Freshly baked lies. Okay, so we don't know when our end is. And because we don't know, that's another reason to seize the day. That means, what if today is your last day? What can you do today? So maybe it's not, oh man, I wish I would have done this and this 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That's just living in regret. It's like, well, what do I want to have done today? Can I do my best today? What does my best look like today? If I had to wrap it all up and say, peace out, y'all, what would I want to have done today? Maybe it's just telling the people I love that I love them. Maybe it's been a while. Maybe we've lost touch, haven't text, email, FaceTime in a while. Maybe it's time that I just let them know, hey, just want to let you know I love you. You're the best. I love blah, 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 blah. Maybe that's all I can do today. Maybe that's all I can muster. Or maybe it's something else. Maybe I want to leave and know that my home was organized and it wasn't a whole disaster for my family to have to go through afterwards. But if we each day do our best, do what we think is seizing the day, it's something that we can be proud of and look back on. If tonight is the end, then you will create your legacy. You will build your relationships. You will achieve the things that you wish that you had done by the time it's your end. That means you got to do something now, though. Urgency. The urgency is real for some of us. For some of us who think in this type of way, the urgency is real. There's like, there's no tomorrow. I tend to say that. There's no tomorrow. What you gonna do today? That's something that I've said to my students. I have been a classroom teacher for a few years, kind of off and on, because it's a partial match. And I keep thinking I'm going to find a better partial match with being a classroom teacher, and I just don't. That's part of the reason why I've been gone for so long. I was stuck. Serious rut after my most recent classroom teaching experience. This was at the time when I first started my podcast, so early January 2025. It's currently October 2025. January 2025, I started at a new school. I started my podcast and I figured, all right, I'm going to be on this schedule. Cool. The podcast and the blog and a couple other things were part of me of seizing the day and getting my messages out there. However, being stuck in a really, really bad partial match took the wind out of my sails. The power of a partial match cannot be underestimated. Maybe that's something I'll get into detail at a future time, but I just want to focus on the seizing the day part, how I lost sight of that. And it's not the first time in my life. And I'm sure there's many of you listeners to whom this has also happened, where you had a goal, you're like, I want to do this. Maybe it's a New Year's resolution. And you're like, all right, come January, here I go, boom. And then March, you're like, oh, what happened? Goal? What goal? What resolution? Whoops. Let's try again next year. I'm not saying that that you're going to be some kind of robot and maybe every single day you're going to seize the day. But the idea, if you just keep the idea, maybe the standard is up here. I want to seize the day. What can I do today to seize the day that I look back on? I'm on my deathbed. I'm going to look back on and be like, yes, great. That was a great day. That too was a great day. That also was a great day. What can you do about that today? What's your best look like today? I was in the middle of saying something earlier. I'm just remembering. I'm not going to edit this part out. So as a classroom teacher, I've told many a student, even when I've done tutoring, I'm currently still doing tutoring, but I've told many a student, there's no tomorrow. It's only right now. It's today is right now. There's no later. There's only right now. Let's get to it. Because they would say something like, "Oh, I'll get to it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow." And I say, "There's no tomorrow. How you know there's a tomorrow? What tomorrow? No, there's only right now." And then once it's tomorrow, that's also a right now. So there's no tomorrow. There's only right now. Let's get to it. They would begrudgingly get to it. So yeah, because that's true. We don't know. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. For whom is tomorrow guaranteed? Please name some names. Let me know so I can go, "Oh, wow. Okay. Whew. Well, why? Why is tomorrow guaranteed for that person? How do they know without a shadow of a doubt that they're going to have tomorrow? How many more tomorrows do they have? Do they know?" Seizing the day is doing what your best looks like today. Even if you were to look back on your life from this moment, not thinking this is your last moment, but if you just right now take an inventory. Let's see, what have I done up to this point? And how do I feel about it? Where does it leave you? How do you feel about it? If I were to look back on my life, for most of it, well, because I know that actually, okay, so for all of it, there's nothing I can do about it. We can't change the past currently. We currently don't know how we can change what we perceive to be the past. Okay, there's no way of changing the past. So I don't have strong regrets about how I've lived my life to this point. If I compare that to what I'd want in my death speech, I'm coming up short. Miniature. Okay, I'm coming up real short. I finally thought of getting back out there and not keeping everything to myself because of two things that have happened recently. Two things. Number one, an opportunity to retake Jess Ekstrom's Mic Drop Bootcamp for free because I'm a member of the Mic Drop Club. I was like, you know what? Let me get that refresher in here because I have lost sight. All right. I have lost sight and I need a big reminder. I need a big boop boop. Wake up. You're tripping. I need that because I know I'm tripping. I know what am I doing right now? What am I doing? Me thinking, okay, I'll do it later has turned from a couple hours to a couple days to 8 months. Say what? What was I doing? So I needed a refresher. So I'm currently going through her boot camp again. Love me some Jess Ekstrom. Okay, the second thing is I have a family member who is dying. Got the news recently. It looks like there's not much that can be done other than to keep him comfortable. So thinking about this particular family member coming up, it's their time. It's about time to clock out. Has made me remember the whole live your death speech. Queen, come on now. What is it? What do you want to look back on? And realizing, shoot, I don't have time. I don't have time because I don't know when I'm next. I don't have time. This is a very real reminder when you are faced with mortality. If it's not your own, you're faced with someone else's, it reminds you of your own. You don't have time. You don't know when that's it for you. Now, for this person, I mean, we're able to say some goodbyes. Not everybody's going to get that chance to say goodbye or have goodbye said to them. Not everybody's going to have that chance. So because you don't know when it's going to be your time to clock out, you got to take advantage now. I got to say that again for those in the back who like to come in late and they just sit all the way in the back. I said, You need to take advantage now. There's no later. There's no later. You got this gap in time where you're not doing your best, you're not seizing the day. What do you have to show for it? Are you better for it? I know for me, for example, I never regret a workout, but I sure regret skipping a workout. And I remember that every time I want to skip a workout. Now, have I still skipped workouts? Yes. And I still get mad at myself, like, oh, you know you hate it when you skip a workout. You know you get mad at yourself. And here you are skipping a workout. That helps me when I really don't want to do it, is thinking of the alternative. Let's consider, what's the alternative to not seizing the day? Then what are we doing? We're probably dealing with some partial matches, and that's keeping us from living our best lives. That's keeping us from being aligned to what we really want to do. If we are not seizing the day, what are we doing? What's the opposite of seize the day? Waste the day? What's the opposite of seize the day? What's less than seizing the day? If you don't seize the day, what are you doing? Casually strolling with the day? So I need to stop messing around and really get my messages out there. And they're not even just messages like necessarily from me. I'm sure a lot of these things you've heard before, but perhaps the way that it's packaged, who it's from, you're like, oh, you know what? Now that resonates. I hope so. Because I have a whole new plan for going forward that looks very different from how I got here. I remember in my very first episode, my very first podcast episode, the Just Start. Woo! Thank you, past self, because I listened to that earlier today to remind myself of what it felt like when I was seizing the day, when I felt like I was really getting somewhere towards my most aligned path. I'm like, look at me. I need to course correct. And if you haven't heard that first episode, go back and listen to it. Just Start episode 1. And make a decision. Just start. Pick somewhere and then course correct. So right now, I have a new plan on how I'm going to do the course correcting, how I'm going to get back to being on track to reach the goals that I've set. And I encourage you to do the same. So let's say you fell off a wagon. You fell off with exercising, or maybe it's dieting, or maybe it's something else where you maybe haven't had the discipline to stick to, even though that's what your true self wants. Somehow your like base self is hindering progress on that front. Course correct. Starting now. I was going to say today. Today could mean later for some people. I'm saying now. Even if it's thinking, if it's writing it down, let me make a note. Let me pull up a Word document, a Google sheet. Let me do a voice recording. Let me start doing something towards seizing the day. Seizing the day does not mean perfection. It just means progress. Progress to your best. What's your best look like today? I say that to my students a lot. What's your best look like today? Are you doing your best? Because if you show up and do your best every day, there's no way you can't be successful. You show up and do your best every day, whatever your best looks like each day, you're going to be successful. But if you know that you're not doing your best, How will you know whether you could have achieved more? More. How do you know if you're not out there seizing the day? That's the message for today. And I'll leave you with this thought: seizing the day means living your death speech. Thank you for listening to Power Podcast with Queen Beauté, because transformation begins the moment your mind awakens to its power.